After years of skyrocketing premiums and carrier departures, Florida's troubled property insurance market is finally showing signs of stabilization, with multiple insurers proposing rate decreases for 2026 and the state's insurer of last resort dramatically reducing its policy count. In a stunning reversal, Citizens Property Insurance Corporation, Florida's state-backed insurer of last resort, voted to request an average 2.6% rate decrease for homeowners' policies starting in June 2026. This marks a dramatic shift from early 2022, when Citizens' indicated rate increase exceeded 91% for homeowner policies. Citizens President Tim Serio credited comprehensive insurance and tort reforms enacted by the Florida legislature in December 2022, which eliminated one-way attorney fees and assignment of benefit agreements. The Florida Office of Insurance Regulation is currently reviewing the filing and could approve even larger decreases as litigation costs continue to decline. Not all Citizens customers will see relief uniformly. While 60% of policyholders could see an average premium cut of 11.5% if approved, St. Lucie County residents face a proposed 6% increase, the highest in the state, driven by older homes, aging roofs, and frequent wind damage claims. Citizens started 2026 with approximately 395,000 policies, down from 936,000 at the start of 2025, a dramatic 58% reduction. This represents the lowest policy count since at least 2012, following a peak of 1.4 million customers in 2023. The decline reflects a successful depopulation program that transferred more than 540,000 policies to private insurers during 2025. 17 new insurance companies have entered the Florida market since the 2022 reforms, increasing competition and stabilizing rates. Several major insurers have filed for rate decreases: State Farm, 10% reduction statewide; Florida Peninsula Insurance, 8.4% average reduction; Patriot Select Insurance, 11.3% reduction; Heritage Property and Casualty, 9.6% decrease for Seminole County, 7% for Osceola County. While single-family home insurance shows improvement, Florida's condominium market remains in crisis. Following the 2021 Surfside collapse that killed 98 people, the state passed strict safety laws requiring all condo buildings over 30 years old to undergo inspections and fully fund repairs by January 1, 2026. This deadline has created financial strain for thousands of condo associations already struggling with rising insurance costs. Special assessments ranging from $50,000 to $100,000 per unit have forced many retirees on fixed incomes to sell. The inventory of condos for sale in South Florida has surged, with prices dropping significantly. Housing analyst Nick Gurley reports condo values have fallen 9.9% in Florida over the past year. Governor Ron DeSantis has aggressively defended the 2022-2023 insurance reforms, warning legislators against reversing course despite pressure from trial attorneys. In October 2025, he stated that auto insurance premiums have decreased on average by 6.5%, and Progressive Casualty Insurance announced it would return $950 million in excess profits to approximately 2.7 million Florida policyholders. The improving insurance market could have significant implications for the 2026 gubernatorial race. While First Lady Casey DeSantis has been mentioned as a potential candidate to succeed her term-limited husband, recent polling shows U.S. Rep. Byron Donalds, who has President Trump's endorsement, leading the Republican primary field with 38% support. Despite the positive trends, significant challenges remain. The 2026 Florida legislative session, beginning in March, will likely see renewed debate over insurance policy. Several bills have already been filed addressing rate caps, claims handling, and insurer accountability. Congresswoman Frederica Wilson held a policy briefing in June 2025, highlighting ongoing concerns about affordability and coverage availability, particularly as climate change increases hurricane risks. The long-term sustainability of Florida's insurance market will depend on continued tort reform, effective loss mitigation, and regulatory oversight. For now, the market stabilization offers relief to millions of Florida homeowners who have endured years of premium increases and limited options. Whether this improvement continues will depend on maintaining reform momentum and avoiding major hurricane losses in the coming years. As Florida heads into the 2026 midterm elections, Recent polling data reveals a political landscape that remains solidly Republican, though with some nuanced shifts in voter sentiment and approval ratings. Trump and DeSantis approval ratings. President Donald Trump's approval rating in Florida has shown some volatility throughout 2025. A May 2025 Florida chamber poll found 51% of Florida voters approve of the job Trump is doing as president. However, a Civics poll from the same month showed his approval rating underwater in Florida, reflecting concerns about his tariff policies announced in April. By March 2025, a Mason-Dixon poll of 625 registered Florida voters found Trump with a 53% approval rating among men, but a more divided 48% approval and 47% disapproval among women. This gender gap reflects a broader national trend in Trump's support base. Governor Ron DeSantis maintains a 54% approval rating, according to the Florida Chamber's May 2025 poll, though this represents a decline from his 59% approval 2 years prior. His lowest approval is in Southeast Florida at 42%, while he maintains stronger support in other regions of the state. Generic ballot. Republican advantage holds. The Florida Chamber's statewide poll shows Republicans maintaining a significant advantage heading into 2026. When asked which party voters would support in the 2026 elections, 50% indicated they would vote for a Republican candidate compared to 40% for a generic Democrat, a 10-point Republican advantage consistent with the 2022 and 2024 election results. Republicans have expanded their voter registration advantage to 1.2 million more registered voters than Democrats, reflecting continued migration to the GOP in the Sunshine State. The 2026 governor's race with Governor DeSantis term limited, the race to succeed him, is heating up. U.S. Representative Byron Donalds, who has President Trump's endorsement, has emerged as the clear Republican frontrunner. A December 2025 poll by the American Promise showed Donalds with 38% support among likely Republican voters. Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins received 9%, despite weeks of television advertising. When informed of Trump's endorsement, Donalds' support jumps to 50%. Donalds has raised over $12 million as of March 2025. Florida First Lady Casey DeSantis, who has not formally announced a candidacy, initially polled within 1 point of Donalds, 29% to 28%, in a James Madison Institute poll before voters were informed of Trump's endorsement. After learning of the endorsement, the gap widened to 44%, 25% in Donalds' favor. This dynamic reflects the continued power of Trump's endorsement in Florida Republican politics, even as the state's political establishment shows some signs of DeSantis-Trump tension. Direction of Florida and the nation Floridians remain more optimistic about their state than the nation as a whole. The Florida Chamber poll found 49% believe Florida is heading in the right direction versus 43% wrong track. 48% believe the nation is heading in the right direction versus 48% wrong track. Key demographic trends. Several important demographic patterns emerge from recent polling. Gender gap. Trump's support is significantly stronger among men, 57% approval, than women, 48% approval, a pattern that could influence competitive down-ballot races. Regional variation, Southeast Florida, particularly Miami-Dade and Broward counties, shows lower approval for both Trump and DeSantis compared to the rest of the state. Party registration. The Republican registration advantage continues to grow, suggesting the 2022-2024 realignment toward the GOP in Florida is not temporary. Congressional implications. The generic ballot advantage for Republicans suggests they are well positioned to hold their current congressional seats in Florida. However, any significant national headwinds for Republicans could put some of these seats in play, particularly in competitive suburban districts. Looking ahead. As the 2026 elections approach, several factors will shape the political landscape. Economic issues, tax relief proposals, insurance costs, and property taxes will likely dominate state-level debates. Trump's endorsement power. The governor's race demonstrates Trump's continued influence in Florida Republican primaries' DeSantis legacy. How DeSantis's policy achievements, especially insurance reform, are perceived will affect his successor turnout patterns. Midterm elections typically see lower turnout, which could affect the generic ballot advantage. Florida appears likely to remain a Republican stronghold in 2026, though the margin of victory and the specific candidates who emerge will depend on campaign execution, national political trends, and voter engagement over the next year. Congresswoman Frederica Wilson held a policy briefing in June 2025, highlighting ongoing concerns about affordability and coverage availability, particularly as climate change increases hurricane risks. The long-term sustainability of Florida's insurance market will depend on continued tort reform, effective loss mitigation, and regulatory oversight. For now, the market stabilization offers relief to millions of Florida homeowners who have endured years of premium increases and limited options. Whether this improvement continues will depend on maintaining reform momentum and avoiding major hurricane losses in the coming years.